Hey guys, it's finally here. Little Spit is real and she is on the way to your passenger seat. Thank you to everyone who supported and anyone who is looking to snatch one for themselves. They will be available starting July 1st on Makeship for a limited time. The link will be in the description below, and as always, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And use code SPIT at checkout for gamer subs to save 10% on your purchase. Okay, bye. All right. Keep in mind, I'm taking my steering wheel off. I'm gonna go full size for this. So, I don't think we watched the Joplin. So, bye, Izzy. Have a good night. I don't think we've done Joplin yet. I know a lot of people have been requesting more reactions to like tornado videos and weather videos. So, and again, my model automatically smiles. Doesn't mean I'm smiling. These are very serious. And also, again, because of all the weather, I like to let people, like, basically kind of remind people how severe these storms can get, how severe these tornadoes can get, and how you should never play with them. Never play with them, okay? So, this is just for history and learning purposes, educational. I'm looking all weird again. So, but yeah. But yeah. So, I'm not laughing. I'm not trying to be lighthearted about these situations. I'm just saying. Just saying, all right? So, that is how I am. Oh, I'm growing. Sorry. Things might break sometimes, though. So we might have to laugh about that during the stream. But other than that, sorry about that. I have to cut that out. All right. Anyway, so again, I haven't seen the Joplin, so I am not really knowing what to expect at all.
Imagine hanging out with friends and family at a graduation party on a warm day in late spring. Jamie and his family were doing just that in Joplin, Missouri on May 22nd,
I was in
2011.
Missouri. I didn't know where
Everything
it
was
was.
going well. The conversation was light, the sun was shining, but suddenly the group noticed extremely dark skies to the west. At first, they weren't too worried. It was springtime and afternoon thunderstorms were quite common in southern Missouri, but the darkness continued to get closer and closer and
If I ever see a darkness approaching me, I do check my radar. Check your radar, because especially during the spring and summertime, it changes constantly. 20 minutes is going to be different.
closer. The birds went
This is
silent, and the
2011.
wind began to pick up. Jamie grabbed an old camera and began filming the eerie scene.
Yeah, that's. I don't like that.
Oh, there's a hail. Comes a hail.
Oh, that's when you go inside. Please.
But the sky continued to get darker and darker, and the winds got even stronger. Realizing that him and his family could be in a dangerous situation, Jamie advised them to get inside. The family gathered in the lowest part of their house as
Good.
Jamie continued to film. Suddenly, a freight train-like noise could be heard approaching outside, slowly getting louder and louder. The home began to shake and glass could be heard breaking upstairs.
Oh, that's terrifying. Oh gosh, that's terrifying. Especially if you
But the
don't
family
know.
stayed calm.
If you don't know a tornado's coming, I don't know. I would feel like if like things start getting really dark and windy, I'd be like, let me check the weather or check the weather radio, whatever you have.
Stayed low, and as quickly as it started, it was over. Jamie and his family had just encountered a mile-wide EF5 tornado.
Mile
But luckily
wide.
for them, their house was on the very edge of the tornado, not quite within the direct path. After the event, Jamie filmed the destruction. While the second story of his home had an entire wall missing, the house was overall intact.
Good.
However, they were lucky, as the same could not be said about their next door neighbors. The neighbor's house right
They still
across
have
the
the
street
roof
had been
on.
completely destroyed. In fact, it was one of over 7,000 houses that were destroyed in Joplin, Missouri on that Sunday.
And it still baffles me. I have to say, it still baffles me. I know it's like rotating wind and everything like that, but the fact that you have houses that are completely gone here, but yet these still have structure and a roof over it, but the ones beside it, kind of you can tell, are collapsed as well. I don't know.
Every year, the US sees about 1,300 tornadoes on average. Most of these twisters, about 80%, are very weak. Violent tornadoes, EF2 through EF4, make up about 19% of all tornadoes. But they're not the worst type of tornado. That goes to the ultra rare, ultra dangerous EF5, the strongest tornado possible. A wall of death that destroys everything in its path. These monsters can be over 2 miles wide with wind speeds well over 200 miles per hour. Thankfully though, most of these massive deadly monsters occur over open plains or cornfields.
Yeah, well, they still occur anywhere else, really. I know, like, what I think a lot of other countries are like, "Oh, tornadoes, your houses are made of paper," you know? No, no, they're not. No, they're not. We have had slabs being ripped out of the ground. You know, slabs, concrete slabs that are slab concreted into the ground. Yeah, it goes missing. I think that's a strong tornado. I don't think that's the structure of the house problem, you know? But, like, some of these tornadoes, like, some videos that I've seen from storm chasers, it looks like the tornadoes just hover over the same spot, and I'm like, "That looks like a long time, because some tornadoes just go really fast, but some are just literally sitting, like, hardly moving." Yeah, asphalt's been
However,
ripped
every
up,
once in a
it's
while, they may strike a
mm-mm.
small town, claiming dozens of lives. And on an even rarer occasion, we have what is often referred to as the tornado worst case scenario.
Rain wrapped. They're gonna say it's rain wrapped, aren't they? I can't see anything. Yeah.
An EF5 striking a highly
Oh,
populated city.
that too.
There are only a handful of incidents, but the worst in recent memory is the May 22nd, 2011 Joplin, Missouri EF5. Today we are doing an in-depth,
It rain
detailed
wrapped
video
at
about
night.
the event. We'll be covering
Oh, that's my mistake. The tornado is just that large. I didn't realize it. But yeah, rain wrapped tornadoes, especially at night, are the worst. Do not go out and try to videotape it. Like, oh, look at the rain. Yeah, there might be a tornado inside. Please get inside the house and take cover.
the buildup, the arrival, the victims, the aftermath, and the recovery. We will also be covering obscure lore, and of course, we'll be discussing
I heard about the
remnants that
butterfly
still
people.
remain to this day. This is the Swiggle Studios Joplin EF5 documentary.
Sorry, I'm pausing again, but I saw a TikTok not too long ago talking about the butterfly people. Is there a bunker near me? There is kinda. I have a basement though. So, which is I don't know if it's safer or not. Probably not. um, yeah, I heard about the butterfly people, so I'm really intrigued about hearing more about that.
But before we get to that, a quick word from today's video sponsor, Into the AM. Guys,
Into the
I like to
AM.
look cool when I'm out and about. I like to express myself, have a little bit of a
I need to
unique
watch this ad.
vibe, and that's why I love Into the AM, because Into the AM specializes in unique men's clothing. They have a ton of cool graphic t-shirts that you can check out. The
Close
AM
the
for
end.
sponsoring the video off
There you
site-wide
go.
when you use my promo code SWIGGLE or click my link in the
There's the
description.
promo
Again,
code.
that's promo code SWIGGLE for 10% off site-wide. Thank you so much to Into the AM for sponsoring the video. 2 days before the Joplin EF5 on May 20th, the signs of a potential tornado outbreak over the Central Plains were observed by the Storm Prediction Center. When we look at their Day 3 conventional outlook, that would be May 22nd, the day of the event, that was posted on May
Silver
20th,
and golden
we can see a
people.
30% chance of severe weather within
What?
any area in the shaded red region. This, of course, includes Joplin. The Storm Prediction Center stated this: there's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms
Slight?
Sunday from the southern plains through the middle
Storm.
Mississippi, Ohio, and
Not
Tennessee
tornado.
valleys by Sunday. Dew guidance is suggestive that moderate to strong destabilization will occur over a rather broad area from the southern plains into the Ohio Valley and adjacent portions of the Mississippi and Tennessee valleys. This is expected to allow the development of considerable thunderstorm activity, including isolated supercells, a couple of which may be capable of producing tornadoes.
Okay,
The
there
next
we go. I was about to say, I don't think it's gonna be just storms. Because that's what I'm thinking. Like, oh, well, maybe if there's like a slight chance, they're gonna say, hey, there's gonna be possibly tornadoes. Like, go ahead and let people know, because I'd rather know that there's going to be a tornado, but then there's not a tornado, versus not realizing there's gonna be a tornado and having a tornado. You know, I feel bad for weather people because they always get all sorts of hate for that. Like, oh, you said there's gonna be tornadoes everywhere, and it was just some rain and lightning. I'm sorry, they can't control the weather. It's literally Mother Nature. You think technology is gonna predict every little single second of it? Unless it's, like, right then and there. They can't really You can kind of predict, but it changes. It's gonna change, you know. It's not perfect. You can't be mad at the people trying to help save your lives.
The next day, on May 21st, one day before the Joplin EF5, the Storm Prediction Center expanded their slight risk area, and this time they noticed the first signs of a potentially dangerous situation in southern Missouri. The Storm Prediction Center stated this: an axis of stronger destabilization ahead of a weak southward trailing surface front into the lower Missouri Valley and ahead of a dry line across the southeastern plains is expected to be the focus for highly severe probabilities Sunday. However, the Storm Prediction Center predicted a greater tornadic threat further north in eastern Iowa,
At least it's like getting worse. Like, hey, there's gonna be like actual higher threat now.
Illinois, and southern
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
they can still save your
Finally,
life for
on the
sure.
morning of May 22nd, the day of the Joplin tornado, the Storm Prediction Center issued this: a probabilistic tornado graphic showing a 5% chance of a significant tornado throughout the central U.S. Joplin was right in the center. But this was only the beginning. Just a few hours later, the Storm Prediction Center
See, you went from this to a few hours later to this. That's a little worse. That's a lot worse. So again, you can't really predict the weather until it gets closer to actually happening. So you cannot blame the weather people.
upgraded the tornado probability map, increasing the probability to 10%, with Joplin still near the center. Still, the main tornado threat seemed to be up near Illinois. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center believed the main threat to Joplin and southern Missouri was hail. But hail wouldn't be the main threat. Early in the afternoon on May 22nd, several isolated supercells began to erupt over Oklahoma and Kansas. The National Weather Service issued a tornado watch at 1:30 p.m. that
That's how
included
weather
a
works.
swath of
Yep.
counties in
People
Oklahoma,
don't realize that
Kansas,
though.
and Missouri. This included Jasper County and Joplin. At this time in Joplin, it was graduation Sunday, a time of celebration for the class of
Oh, that's
2011. Many had
oh yeah. I think the guy that told the story that I saw on TikTok, he said his graduation like he was graduating, like it was his graduation day, and they were gonna go somewhere, but then they decided to go somewhere else, which actually ended up saving their lives,
extended family who had
which is
traveled from far away
crazy.
to Joplin for the commencement
Like
and
after the
graduation
graduation.
parties. Anyone in the early afternoon in Joplin who was either driving or near radio likely heard the dreaded EAS alert as a tornado watch had been issued for their area. This was likely the very first time anyone in
I'd hate to
Joplin
be in a
knew
big
they were
open
under any
area,
sort of
like
threat.
a
But again, it was
gymnasium.
tornado season. Tornado watches are not that uncommon in southern Missouri,
Oh
so it's
no.
likely that most didn't pay much attention. As the afternoon rolled on, several more supercells erupted over Oklahoma, and they were moving northeast towards southern Missouri. Finally, around 5 p.m., one particular supercell to the west was rapidly strengthening. The skies to the west were getting increasingly
Oh, this
darker,
mean
and the
looking.
residents of Joplin began to take notice. The National Weather Service saw signs of rotation within the supercell and issued the very first tornado warning for northeastern Joplin and the surrounding area at 5:09 p.m. Around this time, the civil defense sirens were activated for approximately 3 minutes, and an NBC affiliate
3
station
minutes?
located within Joplin began live coverage of the reported tornado.
They only go off for 3 minutes? I'd be like, "No, go off. Keep going off, please. I wanna make sure everyone hears it." Because what if you can't hear it? What if you're blowing your hair dry for 3 minutes? You can't hear it. Like, why
Rotation.
don't they
We are
just keep going off?
continuing to see where now the National Weather Service is reporting that it may possibly be just a funnel cloud, not an actual tornado
Right.
on the ground. They are working very rapidly to try and confirm anything that they can at this point in time.
Now, if you're saying this, I'm still getting in a safe place. I'm still getting in a safe place. It might not be an active no, I'm going warning, watch, nothing. I'm going. I'm gonna make sure
Normally,
I'm
we
safe.
would try and take a look outside with our weather camera. However, it is just so rain socked at this point in time.
Yes.
We really can't see. Up there, wow, look at that
Yep,
shot.
there's a look to the northwest of us.
Wow.
We are in western Joplin, so that's looking to the northwest, as we mentioned before.
At this time, the Weather Channel also began live coverage of the tornado warning over the Kansas-Missouri border.
For the southeast corner of Kansas, this has produced a funnel cloud. We're getting reports of that now. Baseball and softball size hail, and our great tornado hunt team out in this area this afternoon. Danielle?
The weather
Yeah. Sorry, I keep pausing, but do you ever feel like during storms and stuff they talk differently? Like I know newscasters speak in that, and we are back, kind of like stuff like that. But I feel like even are they talking the same way? I feel like it's always different. Maybe because the anxiety is making it feel different to me. I don't know. But anytime I watch severe weather, again, well, I talked about it before. My stomach just starts hurting. So is that just me, or do they sound the same when they're doing news and storm stuff? Because it always sounds more dangerous, scary.
Channel's own legendary meteorologist, Mike Betez, was actually located just outside of Joplin tracking the storm.
Yeah, we're right on that storm that you were just mentioning there as we work our way over the state line from Kansas into Missouri near Joplin. Tons of rain, a lot of hail. We had some golf ball size hail that we've been pelted with as we try to race eastbound now to get ahead of it and then dive south. A lot of rotation that we noticed that a rotating wall cloud had passed over us near Columbus, Kansas.
At 5:17, another tornado warning was issued, this time including the entire city of Joplin. After this warning, the sirens did not go off right away. 17 minutes later, at approximately 5:34, the initial phases of the tornado formed near West 32nd Street in southwestern Joplin.
Why would they not go off?
Several storm spotters in the area discovered that the tornado had a dangerous multi-vortex structure, almost like several tentacles dropping beneath the cloud base, similar to the dead man walking appearance of the 1997 Joplin EF5. Ryan Carr happened to be driving when he captured the initial tornado formation on camera. He pulled over and began filming.
I don't know if it's gonna touch. Oh, there it is. There it is.
So hard to see.
There it is. Oh, I don't know if you saw that. Holy crap.
Kinda.
I hope this is taking awesome video of that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I see it now.
That is a tornado, people. That is a tornado, and I'm getting it on camera. I'm getting this cat crap on camera. Oh my gosh.
So excited. He's shaking the camera. I mean, shoot, I'd be kind of excited too to catch a tornado like form on the ground like that. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Camera. I'm getting this cat crap on camera. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and you can see it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, sweet Jesus,
make the
keep
video
me safe.
better, sir, and stop shaking
Keep
and
me
going
safe,
up.
Lord. Keep me safe.
The tornado organized quickly, going from a multi-vortex cone tornado to a wedge in only a few seconds. Joplin's tornado nightmare had officially begun.
So fast how it formed. Usually
While
it
still in
takes
its
a minute, but that
initial
one went
weak
down.
phases, the tornado did cause damage all on West 32nd Street.
Rush.
Mobile homes were destroyed and the tops of trees were blown off.
Yeah, just
The
hold it
very
with your
first
hand,
signs of
with the
damage can be
wind,
seen
too.
via Google Earth. The satellite imagery shows a few downed trees just south of 32nd Street. You can also see the sporadic nature of the multi-vortices creating strange looping patterns in the forest. The first victims of the tornado can be seen on South Ashwood Avenue and other subdivisions nearby. While still relatively weak at this point, likely an EF2 or low-grade EF3, the tornado
Still doing that much damage. If you live in a mobile home and you're having a tornado watch, keep an eye on the weather strictly. If you have a tornado warning, please seek out your closest shelter. Do not think, oh, it'll be fine. It may not be fine. Please make sure you know where your local shelter is. Bunker, wherever you need to go. Or a more secure building. Please go there. Do not remain in your mobile home. Please, I beg of
tornado
you.
was quickly gaining strength and size, and many in Joplin were not even aware of the
Don't leave
threat.
it to fate.
It had been
Try to
nearly
beat
25
fate.
minutes since the tornado sirens last sounded, so many in Joplin had already left their shelters and returned to whatever they were doing.
I don't.
Now, when it comes to cliche tornadoes, we tend to think of picturesque cones that can easily be observed from a distance. This tornado in Albion, Illinois in 1990 is a classic example of that. This is what the general public thinks a tornado should look like.
Yep,
The
that's what I
Wizard
usually
of
say.
Oz tornado, if you will. And sometimes they do look like this. Like this right here is a storm chaser's dream. However, the Joplin EF5 was not a typical tornado. It was a rain-wrapped wedge, one of the most dangerous tornadoes one could ever encounter. Night or nocturnal tornadoes are incredibly deadly because you simply cannot see them. Well, the same can be said about rain-wrapped tornadoes. They almost just look like a dark cloud on the ground. This is the only sign of a tornado the people in Joplin observe. And
Yeah, see this? If I have a warning going off, it's gonna be, this is rain wrapped. Obviously, you can't see anything. You just think, oh, that's like a lot of heavy rain in the distance. I'm fine. You may not be. Especially if your weather guy says, hey, this is a rain wrapped, do not go outside. Trust them. Okay? You might get a cool video, maybe. Usually, but this one, it looks like clouds. Unless, like, well, no, that is a wedge, so never mind. This is not the funnel. I don't know. Don't do that.
honestly, if you don't know what you're looking for, this just looks like a terrible rainstorm. The hidden tornado continued to move
What did I say? What did I say?
To the east, increasing in size and strength, destroying homes in its path. At 5:38, 4 minutes after the tornado had formed, the city of Joplin finally activated the sirens once more.
A little late.
Around this time, the NBC affiliate went live again.
Could reach Europe by
From the KSN Storm Center, this is a severe weather alert.
Get past the intro. This is what I don't understand, right? Especially like any ads on TVs. Like, stop playing ads. These are not. If there's severe weather, can we not have ads at all? Like, can we please remove them completely? This is a severe weather alert. And also the intro. I don't care for the intro. The beep beep is all I need to hear.
Good evening. We've got some information on this storm. Let's go ahead and go to the Freeman First Alert Doppler radar. Galena is reporting, trained weather spotters in Galena are reporting now sightings of funnel clouds. Caitlin, you were telling me about that just a moment ago.
Now, this coverage by KSN is very interesting to watch and is honestly one of the most frightening pieces of tornado live coverage that I've ever seen.
Yeah, if your weather guy has removed his jacket and has his just the suspenders on, well, not just the suspenders. Let me read what you said because it made more sense. Oh gosh. If your weather guy isn't wearing his coat and just suspenders, it's serious. Yes. Yeah. If he has suspenders on, no coat, listen to that man.
During the live coverage, when they switch over to the tower cam, you can actually see the tornado shrouded by rain. But it is hidden. It's hard to notice, especially if you're not really looking for it. But there it is, a killer behind a veil of rain. Take a look at the reactions from the meteorologists covering the event. At first, they don't quite see the tornado, but when they finally notice it, it shocks them.
But we do have National Weather Service personnel stating that Galena has a public report of a funnel cloud.
I'm getting the mouse over here.
Public report meaning that one of their trained spotters hasn't seen it, but there's our tower cam.
That would appear to be a power flash. That could be from a lightning strike, but that is the portion of the storm that we have been concerned with.
Tornado sirens once again
going off in Joplin. Those are definitely power flashes that we are seeing on the ground. We are continuing to follow this at this point in time. Caitlin, I'm going to let you take over for a minute.
Yeah, Jeremiah, right now it does look like there is a tornado on the ground in the southern portions of Joplin, just to the south of our station here. It is taking out those power lines. You can see those flashes on there. Yeah, everybody, if you live in southern Jasper, northern Newton, take cover.
Yes, please.
Right now. I am telling you to take cover right now.
But you can definitely hear the panic.
Yeah, if you hear panic and you have two people talking over each other, usually it's very, what am I trying to think of? Professional to have one person speaking at a time. But when you have two people freaking out saying you need to take cover right now and they're trying to be unison so they're not overlapping badly with each other, you need to take cover. Like, that's, if your meteorologist is nervous, you need to be 100% ready, on board, everything, ready to do anything that they say. Even just go ahead and be in the basement. Go ahead and prepare, please. If your meteorologist is nervous and what was it? There was storms where the meteorologist was crying. They were crying because they said people are going to die. And I know that. That's terrifying. So please, again, just the stress of it, please, you have... It's very serious. It's very, very, very serious.
In their voices. Remember, there was only a small likelihood for tornadoes. Most experts, including the meteorologist shown here, were not expecting a massive wedge tornado, especially one that formed out of nowhere.
Continue to take cover from this storm.
Adults forget
we can see that tornado on the ground from our tower cam. We are continuing to track that.
In this point of the coverage, you can really understand what a rain-wrapped tornado looks like. I mean, look at that. You can't see anything.
A dangerous situation at this point in time.
Meanwhile, the commencement address for the Joplin class of 2011 had recently concluded.
Yeah,
one member of the class was 18-year-old aspiring YouTuber Will Norton.
Oh, no.
Will was a charismatic and popular student at Joplin High School, personality traits that can easily be seen on his YouTube channel. After the graduation ceremony, Will Norton was driving home with his father, Mark Norton, in their Hummer SUV. They were only a few minutes behind his Aunt Tracy and his sister Sarah. At this point, the tornado was at about an EF3 strength, crossing near Iron Gates Road. Once Tracy and Sarah made it back to their house, they could hear the tornado sirens wail across the city, and they noticed just how grim the western sky looked. But they couldn't see the tornado as it was indeed rain-wrapped. Sarah was understandably worried about her brother and her father, Mark. Around this time, she received a call from Mark asking her to open the garage door. Only a few moments later, Sarah could hear chaotic sounds coming from her phone. Sarah stated this: "He was telling my brother, pull over, pull over. I heard the tornado whipping them around. I had a feeling that they were flipping around in the air. It was just really scary." Will and his father Mark were heading down South Shefferdecker Avenue approximately here when the tornado struck their vehicle, flipping it into the ditch. Will's seatbelt ripped and he was sucked from the seat through the sunroof. Mark remained in the vehicle but was severely injured. After the tornado had passed, Mark was taken to a nearby hospital and gave details on what happened. Will, however, was nowhere to be found. Search parties were organized, and it wouldn't be until a few days later that he was discovered in a body of water right next to the road where the vehicle flipped. This body of water right here. It is believed that Will Norton was the first victim of the Joplin EF5. This photo of Will with his diploma was taken only an hour before he passed away. Will may have been the first fatality in the disaster, but unfortunately, he wouldn't nearly be the last. The tornado continued to head east through Joplin, tearing through several more neighborhoods. The next victims of the tornado would be Glenn and Lori Holland on South Oliver Avenue. Glenn was an avid shotgun shooter who was very well known within the community. He would often post on shotgun forums. He was also an Air Force veteran. Just to the east of the Holland house was the Joplin Elk Lodge. Within the Elk Lodge, 4 additional fatalities occurred. After the event, several other Elk Lodges within the area traveled to Missouri to help clean up the destruction and rebuild. But just to the east of the Elk Lodge was the St. John's Medical Center, a large hospital, and the tornado was heading straight towards it. The staff at St. John's had been alerted of the approaching threat. Nurse Kevin Kepley was on the 7th and top floor of the St. John's Medical Center as the tornado hit. Kepley stated this:
"What do you do in a hospital? Like, if anyone works in a hospital, like, what do you do? Do you just, like, try to move people within, like, the inside? Like, the more interior part of the hospital? Because, there's floors and they can't put everyone in the basement or the lower floor. What if someone's, like, giving birth or on life support? Um, Something where they can't really, I'm sure, I guess they sure should have ways to do that if need be. But that scares me. Mm.
It was like it was midnight, he said. So we started taking cover and the windows busted and debris was flying. There were 9 of us in a 2x2 room with the patient trying to keep him safe. Hospital security footage shows the dramatic impact the tornado had inside the hospital.
Oh. That's crazy that there's still camera footage, like, active. Four to 6 basements? I didn't know they had that many. Like, I guess I really been into the basement of a hospital before. I don't know, like, how that works. That's crazy.
Now, when the tornado struck St. John's Medical Center, it was likely at a high-end EF4 strength, not quite an EF5, but it was still strong enough to twist the foundation several inches of this tower right here. There were about 200 people inside the hospital.
Wait, hold on. What did he say?
Several inches of not quite an EF5, but it was still strong enough to twist the foundation several inches of this tower right here. There were about 200 people inside the hospital at the time of the tornado, and 5 from within the building.
It turned the whole tower. Concrete. Are you sure that was just, top end of an EF4? Why was that not like an EF5 already?
Would lose their lives. The 5 fatalities were all caused by their ventilators deactivating due to a power failure. Since the hospital had been destroyed, and you obviously need a hospital in a tragic natural disaster, a makeshift tent hospital was installed right here to the east after the tornado. Since most of the victims of the tornado would need to be airlifted to other surrounding hospitals, 2 helipads were quickly installed near the tent. These helipads eventually were abandoned and still remain a remnant from the disaster to this day. In the end, St. John's Medical Center was demolished and a memorial sits where it once stood. After the event, a new hospital named Mercy was built nearby. At around 5:42, the tornado was beginning to reach peak intensity, with wind speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour. Hundreds of homes near St. John Medical Center were completely destroyed. A specific home on South Connor Avenue claimed the life.
I'm just looking at the layout. I've never seen houses just like this many. Like there might be like, oh, here's a few lines. How many lines of houses are there? I'm trying not to hiccup. Gosh, there's gotta be like a school or something right here too.
St. John Medical Center were completely destroyed. A specific home on South Connor Avenue claimed the life of 9-year-old Zachary Treadwell. His home, along with 6 others on that same block, were featured in ABC's Extreme Home Makeover only 5 months after the event. Very cool that ABC would do this for all these families. So far, the tornado had already claimed over 20 lives, but it was about to claim 20 more, all within a single location, the Greenbrier Nursing Home located at Gabby Street Boulevard.
Those ones make me so sad. Hit a hospital, now it's going to a nursing home. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if
Peggy
I'm ready
Wilson,
for this.
one of the residents of the Greenbrier Nursing Home, described the scene as absolute chaos. The staff had heard reports of the wall of death rain-wrapped tornado heading towards them, and they ushered all the residents into a central hallway. Peggy Wilson stated this: "We heard the sound and we said, uh-oh, and at about that time, the ceiling fell on us. When it..."
Oh, yeah. No, not just really an uh-oh. It's more so that we got a raid. Hi, raiders. Hi. Hello, hello. You came in at a wonderful time, I say sarcastically. Hi. Part of the story. Part of the story is what I'm referring to. Hi, raiders. Everyone look at the raiders. Hello, hello, Amp and Mage Arts. How are you guys doing? Were y'all playing together or chatting together? What were y'all doing? What were y'all doing? Let me see. Where's the shout outs? Do we have them shout outs out here? Final Fantasy. Hey, there we go. There's the shout out. How y'all doing? Welcome in. Hi, hi. Great, Ashley. No, it's just a coincidence. Literally at the same time. At the same time. That's crazy. Hi, welcome in, everyone. What GMS? I'm not sure what part. So the hospital's foundation got turned a couple of inches. They tore it down and rebuilt it, but they had a memorial in the spot where they tore it down. And unfortunately, now it's heading towards a nursing home. I'm not ready. I'm already kind of emotional. I'm not ready for this. Oh, I'd rather deal with hurricanes than tornadoes. Hopefully, the hurricanes don't produce tornadoes. That's probably the worst part right there. How are you? Hi, Kat. I'm good. How are you doing? How are you doing today? Sad lickies. Oh, man. Just comes into rain wrapped clouds, and then we were here. Rain wrapped. Yeah, I guess like the main part was the hospital one where it actually moved the foundation of one of the towers a few inches. Like we're talking about like layers of floors moved, concrete, which is crazy. And they only considered it a top end EF4. Right at the same time as doing Mario Party Jamboree stream, I won because of chance time. Let's go! How are you? It's been a while. Hey, it's good to see you, Amp. Hey, I'm glad you won. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, so I've had a lot of people asking me to do more weather reaction stuff, so we are now doing Joplin. I don't really know a whole lot about what happened at Joplin. I only saw a TikTok one time talking about the butterfly people. So I'm really intrigued of like what they're gonna talk about. I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna be at the end. So I don't know. The storm dragon. I like I like learning about storms. They fascinate me. You know, I hate the destruction that they cause, but you know, they're very fascinating on how they work and just crazy how they operate, you know. My hair clip keeps falling. Oof. Oof, oof. Let's see. Let's see. BRB. Okay, Ryan. Yeah, welcome in. Hi, I'm Dragonspit. You can call me Spit or Spitty, whatever you prefer. I don't really have much of an intro. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So, well, yeah, tornadoes, tornadoes. But again, I'm only doing this for educational purposes, and I do mean that. My model might smile, but that's because it's just normal. I'm literally straight-faced right now. I guess that kind of looks straight-faced, but the slight move of my mouth, it goes into a smile. So, uh, oh yeah. Oh, hi, welcome, man. So I'm gonna go back just a little bit. So apparently it is going to a nursing home now. So I'm not looking forward to this. Bye, mate. Have a good night. Thank you for the raid. Get some rest, okay? Take care. Only tornado that ever went through my city took out a Starbucks, and only a Starbucks. Oh, it really just did not like that Starbucks, did it? Well, I'm glad it didn't really do anything else. I'm glad. Hopefully everyone was fine at that Starbucks, though. For real, for real. A resting dragon face.
It hit sound and we said, uh-oh. And at about that time, the ceiling fell on us. When it hit, it took everything down. Pipes, plaster, wood, the ceiling construction, everything. It was awful. Just the sound of it, and there you sit. What could you do? You certainly couldn't run away from it. The Greenbrier Nursing Home had the highest number of deaths of any location during the tornado. Today, all that remains is a dirt foundation and a parking lot. The tornado was now over 1.5 miles wide and near peak intensity, easily within the EF5 threshold, and unfortunately, it was in many ways just the beginning.
I'm glad they didn't go into much detail about it. Because I was getting really
Around
sad.
5:44, it crossed a main
really
street where it
sad.
took out several small businesses and claimed 2 lives at one of Joplin's Mexican restaurants. Unfortunately, coming up within the path of the tornado were even more residential homes, the Joplin High School, and the Baptist Church. Within this area of homes, there were over 300 injuries as well as a dozen fatalities. Along this intersection of East 24th Street and Missouri Avenue, 10 individuals in 5 different homes all lost their lives. But just down the street was Joplin High School. Security cameras throughout the school showed the moment of impact.
Have you seen the documentary they have about this? I have not seen the documentary. I'm kind of scared too, because all like the extra details, like the sad details, I don't know if I could make it through unless y'all want to hear me cry. Something like that. Ugh.
Security cameras throughout the school showed the moment of impact.
Oh, they're so good Transformers. Oh gosh. The fact that this camera footage is just catching this and not dying instantly. I would say being under the tables would be pretty... Never mind. I was gonna say they're pretty secure looking. Never mind. It's like blue light, at least from what I know. If I'm wrong, let me know, because I want to know.
Thankfully, the school was empty at the time, so there were no fatalities at this
Good.
location except for one in the parking lot. In some ways, it's a bit of a close call. Had the tornado occurred on a weekday or at an earlier time, these halls would have been filled with students. In fact, how fortunate was it that the graduation ceremonies of Joplin High School weren't actually held at the school? They were held 3 miles north at Missouri Southern State University. If they had held the graduation ceremony at the high school, people would still have been in the process of leaving the event. After graduation, you're sitting around, you're taking photos, you're talking to people. There would have definitely been a lot of people still there. But thankfully, it was just a close call. Just across the street from the high school was Harmony Heights Baptist Church. While no one was at the high school, unfortunately, there was indeed a church service in process at Harmony Heights. Over 50 individuals within the church were seeking shelter on the floor, in some cases under the pews, when the tornado struck. The pastor described the scene as a freight train mixed with a jet engine. In the end, nothing remained of the church. Rumbles surrounded the building. Of the 50 churchgoers, 3 would pass away. The tornado then continued into even more residential areas. Here,
And like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? That's, it's just, you're like just helpless.
At the intersection of Connecticut Avenue and East 20th lies a sprawling apartment complex that took a direct hit. Surprisingly, not many apartment buildings were actually hit by this tornado, but there was this specific one where 8 people lost their lives. It was now 5:45 and the tornado was at its peak width of 1¼ mile wide. Unfortunately, up ahead of its path was the heavily trafficked, very busy Rangeline Road, the commercial business district of Joplin. This is where you had all your restaurants, all your shopping outlet malls. This in some ways was the busiest part of Joplin, and the tornado was heading straight towards it. Situated on Rangeline Road were a couple of storm chasers who were able to capture the rain-wrapped tornado heading towards them. Storm chaser Rich Hamill, along with 4 other storm chasers as part of the Silver Linings storm chasing tour, were stuck at a red light in front of a Payless shoe store approximately here. They were behind another Silver Linings storm chasing van that was communicating via walkie-talkie. As reports of the tornado began coming in, several members of the group began filming the ominous horizon.
We're going to keep going south. We're just going to get out of the way of this thing.
I can't even see anything in that video.
Oh, that would have been good if we were on a hill then. We would have
That's the rotation. The compass is just off to the southwest here.
Hey, Matty, can you show us the...
See, you get this light to turn so we can get the...
Oh, so I just saw that big power flash. Whoa, straight through those trees.
Not, I think that's debris that just started flashing. You know, if you see flashing and you can't...
That was a big power flash.
It could be lightning too.
Could be lightning, yeah.
Must be
It's too low to be lightning.
The light's very, very low.
Yeah, that's not lightning.
No, that's power flashes.
Oh, that's
Lots of power flashes.
It's like power flash.
We need to get out of this town.
Holy Jesus. Wow.
We got to get our...
Large. My goodness. We're in the firing line.
It's right there.
Oh.
Really, really bad for this town.
It is.
Thing is, you don't really know exactly where it's going when you're on the ground, not really looking at a radar, I guess. We got a raid. Hi, Chris. Some visuals. So they're watching, they think it's lightning, but then they're realizing, oh, this light flashes, these light flashes are a little too low to the ground. They're not, that's not lightning. It's not lightning. You should try to get somewhere and not be in your hand.
Really, really bad for this town.
It is.
The atmosphere, it gives me like sick stomach. Makes me feel sick.
Please, lift. Lift for Christ's sake.
Bloody big. The traffic lights are off, so they lost power on the city now.
That has to be right there.
The street lights and the traffic is
right there.
These videos have always captured my fascination, and I've talked about them several other times on this channel before, but they really do an excellent job of painting the horrific scene and terrifying vibe of an approaching tornado. They almost have like a Cloverfield vibe to them. At first, they don't see the tornado, they only hear reports and see a dark wall of clouds. But at one point of the video, the massive wedge appears and they quickly come to terms with their current situation.
Right behind us, 4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
There's so many people on the road too.
Holy shit.
That means it's past it.
You can see the rain wrapping them.
freaking go, people.
Go, just go. Oh, no, alright, it's behind them. Oh, good. Good God.
Oh, wow.
This is bad, really bad.
Jesus,
man, that's a monster, this. Oh, explosion. Oh, my God.
Not gonna lie, that lightning bolt was really
right there. I feel sick right now. Very sick. Jesus Christ. Oh, no. Oh, my God, this is a mess. Oh, there goes power. Oh, my God.
We have a guy yelling on the radio.
Yeah, it's a monster to wedge. It's huge.
Definitely some incredible footage, especially when you see the power start to go out in the buildings.
Oh, that's
absolutely
creepy.
insane. Thankfully, they were able to barely escape.
When the power goes out, that is the creepiest sound. I mean, everything just becomes silent. Your air is off. Well, I mean, these are obvious things, you know, but just stating that when the air goes out, the lights go out, especially when it's nighttime and you can't see anything, you have that freak out moment. And every time my power goes out, my dogs freak out even more. Like I don't know what it is, but they flip out whenever the power starts flickering, you know,
and get onto the interstate. By the way, this is what Rangeline looked like before the tornado in the video, and this is the exact same area right afterwards. If they were there for only a couple minutes longer, they could have been seriously injured or worse. In fact, at one point in the video, one of the individuals in the group suggests potentially seeking shelter at the Home Depot situated here.
What about that Home Depot? Would that be a bad spot, or I don't know? That's all I see close by.
I feel the problems wrong with that is number one, I would be scared to hide in giant warehouses because I feel like I know because of the structure, it's structurally sound, the way it's standing, but I feel like the top isn't as sturdy as it should be and would collapse or be ripped off, thus leaving a giant hole for stuff to come in. Number two, Home Depot does have a lot of equipment such as hammers, nails, uh, brick, wood, and flying debris from planks of wood is dangerous enough. So, yeah, I don't yeah, that would probably be one of the worst places. I would get in a more compact where the roof is more I would guess say sturdy, maybe, and not like completely wide over an open area. But maybe not that small. I don't know. I'm just yapping over here.
It's a good thing they didn't. As the tornado was approaching the businesses on Range Line, Dennis Osborne was taking care of a few errands with one of his friends. While at Home Depot, Dennis saw the approaching storm, recognized the threat, and began helping as many people as he could. He ushered the people inside and told them to get to the back of the store. He then ran back outside into the parking lot to yell at people to get inside. Dozens of people who would have been caught out in the parking lot in the tornado, who were unaware of the approaching threat, were saved due to Osborne's warning. Unfortunately, Osborne himself didn't seek shelter in time.
No.
He sacrificed himself trying to save as many people as he could before the tornado hit. Osborne was a veteran and continues to be a legend. May he rest in peace. Overall, there were 6 fatalities at the Joplin Home Depot that day, most of them in the parking lot. Another tale of heroism occurred across the road at a nearby Pizza Hut. The manager, Christopher Lucas, herded 20 people inside the restaurant's walk-in freezer. Unfortunately, the door was not closing to the freezer, and one by one, people were essentially getting sucked out into the tornado. After 3 people had perished this way, Christopher grabbed a bungee cord, attached it to the inside of the door handle, and pulled with all his might to keep the door closed. He was being held onto by 2 other employees. Unfortunately, the tornado was too strong, and Christopher also got sucked into the tornado and perished. But his heroic action and his sacrifice for being the closest to the freezer door will never be forgotten by those 16 others who survived inside the freezer. A similar story occurred at AT&T, where a store employee, Cheryl Shan Miguel, died while protecting 10 people while holding a bathroom door closed. The story of the Joplin tornado is full of heroic acts. Joplin is a Bible Belt city. This is a very Christian part of the country, so there's a lot of good people in Joplin doing sacrificial things. After the tornado tore through Rangeline Road, they headed toward the East Joplin Middle School, where security cameras again captured the carnage.
I don't like how they added this music to it. It's unreal.
There was some good news though. The tornado was finally beginning to weaken, but it still continued to tear through many residential areas, claiming more lives in the process. At this point, it started shifting to the right to the southeast towards Interstate 44. Injuries. In fact, nobody, at least that I could find, died on the interstate during the event. After passing over the interstate, the tornado began to weaken rapidly, all the way down to an EF1. It tracked for a while over the countryside, but dissipated shortly after. The Joplin tornado nightmare was finally over. If there's one word to describe
the worst part happened in the heavily, civilized areas where a lot of people were. I don't know the word I'm looking for. And of course, it gets weaker over just the land area. That's really unfortunate.
Residents of Joplin's reaction shortly after the tornado, that word is disbelief. They thought they were just going to encounter another typical afternoon thunderstorm. But no, their lives and their city would never be the same. One of the best reaction videos I could find shortly after the tornado comes from a video posted by Phaedra driving down Rangeline Road just after the event. She has local news on the radio, so we can also hear the media's immediate reaction, and she's actually driving the opposite direction of the Silver Linings tour.
Unbelievable scenario. Joplin has taken a direct hit from a tornado, and it appears the damage is unbelievable. The scope of the tornado is still unknown at this point, but we continue to monitor the situation and continue to try to get reports as fast as we possibly can. But once again, Rangeland Road, complete devastation. This is going to be a long recovery process for the city of Joplin as we build back from the rubble, and still waiting to hear possible injuries and the possible loss of life. But this is going to be a dangerous scenario. That's why we encourage you to stay off of the road. Let emergency management do their job.
Are you recording?
Let them take care of what needs to be taken care of. There are many people who are in desperate need of help at this hour.
What's interesting is they have no idea, absolutely no idea how bad the situation actually is. In fact, they see some minor damage, like very light damage at first, and they make a big deal out of it because they have no idea what's coming.
We have heard reports of vehicles overturned, semis flipped over.
Oh my gosh!
Injuries on the interstate.
To be honest, that storage place kind of held up really well.
Soon, though, they realize a large part of the city had been completely destroyed.
Is that restaurant fully standing?
Walgreens is gone. We were driving into it. We couldn't even see anything because it was so bad. Look over here. Look. Over there. I can't see.
I really need this camera person to be much better.
Everything is flat, Mom. Oh my God. That one. Grandma's gone. Everything is gone over here. Everything is gone. They're recording the whole thing. You should see it. Tell her where Taco Hut used to be. It's completely flat. The whole thing is gone. Cars are overturned.
It looked like a bomb went off.
It is insane. What the cow?
It is terrifying.
Oh my God. This is horrible. It's completely.
And what makes it worse is because, apparently they've been through here. They know some of these buildings and where it used to be. And just to come back and look at all the desolation. I mean, it's really surreal. Because, again, that happened close to where I used to live with the 2011 stuff. And seeing neighborhoods and woods that used to stand and then coming back after the April 2011 tornadoes and seeing houses just on the ground, like really just the roofs on the ground, houses gone completely, the woods bare. It's surreal. You feel like you're not in that same place, and it's really, really creepy, and it just makes me feel really
flattened over here. It's crazy. Look over here.
There's the Home Depot.
The Joplin tornado quickly went from local news to statewide news, all the way to national news, all within a few hours.
Hour and St. John's all being hit. This is a major situation. We're going to
devastation in Joplin, Missouri, on an almost unimaginable scale. Homes obliterated. Cars piled up like toys.
Jay Nixon has sent a search and rescue team to Joplin, where a tornado killed at least 89 people last night.
Every major news station sent journalists out to cover the damage. Now, since Mike Bettis happened to already be in the area during the tornado, the Weather Channel was extremely quick to go live and cover the event. Mike Bettis was located near St. John's Medical Center and, for obvious reasons, was incredibly choked up after the event.
When you see what's happened here, Paul, I mean, take a look. I mean, it's everything is just completely demolished. I mean, homes are destroyed, families' lives have been turned upside down at this point, and people are just looking for their loved ones. They're looking for family members. If you take a look here at this neighborhood, all I can say is it looks very reminiscent of what we saw last month in, in Tuscaloosa.
Mike, are you all right? You're seeing some just terrible.
No, this guy is not all right. This guy, he's losing it. I mean, because even though he's reporting and everything, and he may not specifically be thinking about the lives lost or the damage caused, I feel like even though these things are in the back of the mind and not being specifically thought about, you still feel the emotions from it. So, good night, stars. So, yeah, I think the guy needs a break.
Things, I'm sure,
Yeah,
and I know you were
very
there
human,
just
which is-
moments after the tornado
Oh,
hit.
poor
Now remember, the
guy.
2011
Oh my
super
gosh.
outbreak from less than a month ago was still on the minds of many. That was a tragic event that claimed over
Reporters have
360
it tough
lives.
sometimes.
In fact, just a couple days before the Joplin tornado, Reed Timmer himself was discussing the Dixie Alley super outbreak with Jay Leno on The Tonight Show. In the end, 75% of the city was affected in
That's the
some way,
Dixie
with
one, the
25%
Tuscaloosa
being
one?
completely destroyed. 8,000 homes were damaged, with about half of them being completely destroyed. About 500 commercial buildings were destroyed as well. Overall, the cost of the tornado was $2.8 billion, about $3.8 billion in 2025. Overall, there were 158 direct fatalities, making it the deadliest tornado event since the Woodward, Oklahoma EF5 in 1947, which had 181 deaths. On top of the 158 direct fatalities, there were several indirect fatalities. A lightning strike claimed the life of a man shortly after the tornado, and in the weeks after the event, 18 people suffered from a fungal infection known as mucormycosis. This specific type of fungus can be found in the soil, and it spreads in the air as little spores. So people, they were in a destroyed wasteland. Dirt was everywhere. There was no sanitation systems installed. They had all been destroyed. So people were at risk of catching this rare fungal disease.
And that, can you imagine, like, living through the tornado portion and then getting that after?
Could have either breathed it in, or if they had open wounds, that soil could have gotten into that open wound. In the end, 5 people would lose their life in Joplin from this fungal infection. Following the disaster, Governor Jay Nixon declared a state of emergency for the city of Joplin and the surrounding areas. Missouri National Guard troops entered the city and began helping out with recovery and cleanup. One interesting piece of lore were the 2 elephants that were used to help remove debris during cleanup. A circus was scheduled to take place in Joplin that next week, and obviously they had to cancel, but they still wanted to help out in some way, so they used the 2 elephants to remove debris.
Trash and cars and junk, my goodness, what a mess they had to clean up.
There were actually people out there protesting the circus, saying you shouldn't be using the elephants for that, but then I think there were more people there saying we need all the help we can get, and they're trained.
Elephant says,
very smart.
Pull that thing. Look at
that's amazing.
strong that elephant.
President Obama visited Joplin and met with the survivors. In fact, 1 year later, in May of 2012, Obama gave the commencement address at the Joplin Class of 2012 graduation ceremony. Now, I'm not a political channel at all, but no matter your politics, I highly recommend listening to this commencement address. It's very well done and it's very moving. The butterfly has become a bit of a symbol for the city of Joplin. If you visit, you will see butterfly sculptures all over the place. And of course, this wouldn't be a proper Joplin documentary without mentioning the mythical butterfly angels. Many survivors of the tornado claim to have witnessed strange butterfly alien angel figures, who either rescued various individuals in some way or ushered their souls up into heaven.
In this damaged building, Emily says she felt a calming presence.
I remember on the shoulder, a hand touched me like right here, and they told me everything was going to be okay. It's actually really weird, but ever since then, I'll be walking outside and a butterfly will come and land on me.
Actually land on you?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these stories come specifically from children. In fact, apparently it was pretty common after the event for children in Joplin to draw these strange creatures at school.
And the thing is, the children never spoke to each other, just from we're in there from the TikTok. And they all had like similar stories, similar or same stories, which is crazy because you never heard of the butterfly people before unless they've been heard about somewhere else that I don't know about, but
School
weird
or at home. Pretty weird. Now, obviously, the situation was incredibly traumatic, especially for a child. So who knows exactly what kind of tricks a mind can play on someone who is going through something like that. But still an interesting piece of lore. Let me know your thoughts on these strange sightings. Well, that concludes the story of the infamous and horrific 2011 Joplin EF5 tornado, a truly worst-case tornado scenario, and one that we hopefully will not see for a long time. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.